Hi, this is Michael Buffer, and welcome to the BoxHard Podcast.
Hello, everyone. This is Mikey Garcia.
This the monster from the swamps, Regis Rougarou Program.
Hey, what's up? This is King Carlos Molina, former IBF world champ.
This is Michael, the Bounty Hunter, 2012 Olympian and your people's champ.
This is Charlie Edwards, flyweight champion of the world.
This is Fast Eddie Chambers, and you're listening to the BoxHard Podcast with my main man, Joey Coastman.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 450 of the BoxHard Podcast. I'm your host Joey Coastman. I'm joined as ever by former heavyweight world title challenger, possibly the heavyweight with the quickest hands in history. It is of course the main man himself, Mr. Fast Eddie Chambers. Eddie, how you doing this week, sir?
Man, I like that introduction, man. That was awesome. Yeah, I'm doing great now. I was doing great. I was doing good before, but now I'm doing great. How about you, Joe?
I'm doing well. And if you say there that you were doing good before, you're doing great now, it's about to get much better, because look what I have right here.
The challenger, Fast Eddie Chambers.
If you haven't heard it, guys, go on YouTube.
That's nice. I actually like that. I like that a lot, actually. Thank you for helping. And you know what's? I got some other interesting news too, Joe, later on.
Ooh.
That we can go over. But yeah, that was nice to be able to hear Michael Buffer say my name again. That's awesome.
Yeah, the buff ski. He is on the intro every week. Yeah, for those that haven't listened to the Eddie Chambers rap, just go on YouTube and simply type in Eddie Chambers rap, and it's a great song. I've got it in my car. I'm waiting for you to come here to the, to visit the UK again, Eddie, and I cannot wait to pick you up from the airport with that blazing in the car.
I would love to hear that too.
Oh God, man. Oh gosh. You know what? Before we get into it, we're recording, Eddie, but we just usually get straight down to business and we don't really talk about personal stuff. But for those that don't know, Eddie, correct me if I'm wrong, man, but you get so embarrassed so easy.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
So it's like you would hate that. Like, that's why I'm saying to pick you up from the airport, blaze the music in front of everyone when we're putting the cases in the car. Like, that would be such a nightmare situation. That's why I want to do it.
That is actually kind of not kind of. That is actually very, very true. You know what's crazy is that being in the spotlight, even though I kind of embrace it a little bit. Okay, pretty well considering that I don't really like that much being the center of attention. But it is a really weird feeling for me. I don't know how to accept it. I know it sounds crazy, but I really don't. It's a weird, really weird feeling.
Yeah. No, I understand. And again, when I was out there in the States with you, I look back on it now because it was a few years ago now, and I don't think I would do it now, but I remember like just going to random places like, Walmart or Target or whatever. And I'd be like, to the cashier, I'd be like, do you know who this is? He used to be so embarrassed.
I always answer for them. Absolutely not. Unless they were like somebody I knew already or something like that, which they like, there is to be like at Wegmans in particular, I think there was like a cashier there, or there's a few different ones that know me because I come in so much. And then they'll periodically ask me little questions and we'll talk a little bit. So they kind of understand or hear a little bit more than with the average. So they might know, but most people don't. Not over here in the States. Trust me.
Shout out to Wegmans, by the way. They should actually sponsor you, Eddie. But no, yeah, I remember as well when we went to New York and we were asking for directions to get to a particular bar, and we asked that guy. I don't know if he was homeless or he just was just standing there, but I was like, you don't know who this is? And he was like, yeah, I know who that is. and then we just watched the awkwardness of him trying to explain. Oh, it was so funny. But he was convinced he did. I still don't think we got to the bottom of it, but maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But anyway.
No, he had no idea.
He didn't. Well, he played it off well. Definitely.
No. We don't know. I don't think we came to like you said. We didn't come to the conclusion. But 100%, I really believe he didn't. But he might have just played it off real smooth.
He was real smooth. I wonder where he is. But anyway, let's dive straight into the review part of the show. We wasted a few minutes there, but that was fun. I liked that talk there. It's good to speak about something a little less serious once in a while. But yeah, like I say, review part of the show. We're going to start here at the River Cree Resort Casino in Edmonton, Canada. Over here, Devon Alexander, friend of the show, former world champion, now 27-9 with a draw. He was stopped in the second round there against Vlad Panin, who's now 19-1. I believe that is just one win now, I think, in Devon's last 9 fights. So, he really needs to think about walking away, I think. I was thinking about it the other day, and again, I don't want to get in a big conversation here, but you think of boxers like the size of their biceps, and I think that Devon Alexander, pound for pound, could have had the most outrageous looking biceps. He was ripped to shreds in his arms. But anyway, moving now to Poland at the Hala na Podpremiu. Again, saying it wrong, I'm 100% sure of that. Over here, Lukas Rozanski, 15-0. I think we can say it now, Eddie, because, it didn't end up happening. I'm sure you'll tell me off if I say something wrong here, but Lukas Rozanski was potentially a guy that you could have been in the ring with for this date here. Those that don't know that, I'm sure a lot of people didn't know that. But yeah, Rozanski got in there defending his WBC Bridgerweight world title against Lawrence Okoli, coming off that loss last time out to Chris Billum-Smith, and it took just one round for Okoli to stop the undefeated Pole. Rozanski down 3 times. I didn't quite expect that. I really didn't quite expect that. I know Rozanski looked $1 million against Alan Babic, stopping him in a round or two. But Lawrence Okoli, he's not really known as a quick starter at all. And he just went in there, all about business. I think he's now under a new trainer. And, it's Joe Gallagher. And, just went in there about business, and you could see the difference in class between both fighters within the first 5 seconds of the fight. There was one knockdown in particular. It might have been the final of the 3, where Lawrence Okoli landed this peach of an uppercut, and it was a demolition job. For Lawrence Okoli, and happy for him. Don't really know what's next for him. He's decided to call out Alexander Usyk, which was a bit weird. He said, "Usyk, why don't you come down to Bridgerweight and fight me?" I don't see that one happening anytime soon. But not gonna blame him for shooting for the stars. But good win. Again, I'm not entirely sure what he's gonna do, because that Bridgerweight category is still a little bit like, semi-non-existent. For example, BoxRec do not recognise the Bridgerweight division, and obviously neither does the IBF, the WBO, the WBA. It's just the WBC that does. So again, I'm not entirely sure that it's going to open up tons of doors for him, but all the best to him. I'm happy to see him looking good again. New trainer, happy fighter, and he's dispatched of an undefeated fighter in their backyard in good fashion, and it's probably what his career needed. Was you going to say something, Eddie?
No, I was going to say, that was a possibility. Actually, we were in talks.
You sound terrible, Eddie.
Oh, sorry about that. It was far away. We were kind of in talks, like of something like that happened to be the Bridgerweight, or even at one point we were even trying to shoot and see if we can get a couple fights and then possibly be able to get in there on that WBA side as well, the regular title. So we were trying to see if there was a possibility for that, which, you're not going to be able to just easily jump the line. You got to do some politicking. You got to get a couple decent fights in with a couple decent guys in order to get it. we were planning on doing it, but it kind of fell through on both of those accounts. But yeah, why not try though? You know what I mean? At least get you an opportunity possibly, and it would have been awesome to finally get an opportunity again for the title, and most likely then in my mind win it.
Yeah, for sure. Moving on now, we're going to move now to the Arena Balashika in Russia. Over here, Alexei Papin returned to the ring. He's now 17-1. A second round stoppage over Isaac Chilemba, now 27-10 with 3 draws. So that was a nice little win there for Alexei Papin. Off the top of my head, I'm sure he's got to be the quickest guy to have stopped Isaac Chilemba. Again, I can't remember him being stopped earlier than the second round. I think he's only been stopped once or twice. He's always been a tough guy, even though he's got to be maybe about 40 now, I'd say, Chilemba. It's been a while since I've heard his name. Moving now to the York Hall in Bethnal Green, London, United Kingdom. Over here, there's a couple of fights to mention. We're gonna discuss this one here just briefly. Tycee Gallagher with a unanimous decision win over 10-2s for the vacant British and also the Commonwealth Super Bantamweight titles. She stepped in the ring with Stevie Levy. That's how her name is pronounced. She's now 10-3, Stevie Levy, but like I say, unanimous decision over 10-2s for Tycee Gallagher, now 8-2. The 2 losses came at world level. I think she will probably pick up a title at some point, still young enough. What else did we have? Really big upset win for Lucas Ballingal. He is now 18-2, a unanimous decision over 10 rounds against Casey Benjamin, now 18-4 with a draw. Ballingal down though in the 10th and final round, down heavy. I don't know how he managed to get back up from that shot, for one, and also to not really take anything big for the rest of the round. It was for the vacant IBF European welterweight title. If you were in my boxing betting group, you'd have seen that Lucas Ballingal, I had him to win on points at just under 4-1. I think it was 15-4, and I had that in an accumulator, and that whole thing won. That was nice to get that one banked there. I just thought to myself, that price 4-1 is a big price. Casey Benjamin started fantastically, but then like the mid to late rounds, Ballingal really came back into it. It was a close fight. I think a lot of people will probably feel that Benjamin might have done enough, especially with the 10-8 round in the final 10th round. But like I say, close fight. Lucas Ballingal though gets it. He's got such an awkward style. Obviously, he's the brother of Michael McKinson, so it's not hard to imagine that they're both very they've got unique styles. And shout out to their dad as well. Forgot his first name, but Father Ballingal, very good underrated trainer. Moving now to the Centre Gervais Auto in Quebec, Canada. Over here, 2 fights to mention that did not last long at all. The return to the ring for Arslanbek Makhmudov. He's now 19-1, a successful ring return. A second round knockout for him against Miljan Rovkanin, who's now 27-4. Good fight while it lasted. Rovkanin came in there certainly to win. He certainly, rolled the dice. He started, trading with Makhmudov. Again, Makhmudov got hit by some big-looking shots, but obviously they were mainly to the head. I don't think he has a problem with his chin at all, but he had massive problems with his body, obviously last time against Ajit Kabayel. So he's done well to go back in there and get a nice quick win there. He's kind of back to it, really. I think he's probably going to be back in the mix again. The main event, Christian Mbili. I did say on last week's show, I didn't see this one going the distance. Christian Mbili, 27-0 now, a knockout for him in the very first round against the UK's Mark Heffron, now 30-4 with a draw. That one was for the WBC Continental America's super middleweight title. Mbili with a body shot in the first round. I think it was about 40 seconds or something like that into the first round. I did think it was probably going to go 1 or 2 rounds. Once again, I put that on the betting group as well. I said, No, actually, I put the bet on. Then I said, no, let's just cash it out and not put that on. But someone staked, I won't say any names, but someone staked quite a nice, piece of money on that, and they actually forgot to cash out, so their bet won. So they made about £100 in profit there. Because I did say Christian Mbili rounds 1 to 2, and he got him out in the first round, no problem. Nice and quick and easy for him. He has already got his next fight announced, which we'll get to later on in the show. Moving now, though, to the final card of the review part. We're going to finish here at the First Direct Arena in Leeds. This one was live on DAZN. Let's go with the undercard. Gary Cully, friend of the show, now 18-1, a unanimous decision for him over 10 rounds against the European kind of gatekeeper, I guess, Francesco Patera, who's still in search of win number 30. He's 29-5. Gary Cully looked okay. I think, like I say, another thing that I predicted in the boxing betting group was that Gary Cully would win on points, I believe. I just couldn't see him stopping Patera, who has always been very good, very durable, and obviously, he was on a heck of a run before he got beat by Keyshawn Davis. So I think Gary Cully, who at the minute doesn't look too confident, I just didn't think he'd be able to stop Patera. But it was quite a good fight. I think Gary Cully did clearly win the fight. I don't think there's any argument that Patera could have won. But yeah, a lot of people were even staking on Patera because they just felt that he might have enough experience, to do something in there against Gary Cully, who seems to be, like we say, lacking a little bit of confidence. And I do think it's still there, even though he won this fight. It was a bit, I won't say of a shaky performance, but it was just he still looked a little bit nervous. So it's crazy how this guy at one stage a few fights ago, people were expecting him to be 100% a world champion soon, and all of a sudden he's now had 3 fights on the bounce. Yeah, 3 fights on the bounce. The loss, then the win that was controversial, then this win here. And all of a sudden now people are saying he'll do well to win a European title. So yeah, it's crazy how quick things change in boxing. Also on the card, Paddy Donovan, now 14-0, a TKO for him in the 9th round against Lewis Ritson. It was only scheduled for 10 rounds, so it almost went the distance. Lewis Ritson now 23-4. Again, a lot of people felt that Paddy Donovan was going to go in there and just completely annihilate Lewis Ritson and walk through him. I did think he'd stop him. I mean, that was in all my bets, that he would stop Lewis Ritson, and obviously he did in the end. But I was a little bit worried around the halfway kind of point, because I felt that Paddy Donovan was standing off Ritson too much. He was allowing Ritson to come in, and I mean, he was trying to counter him, but it was just one shot all the time. And whenever he did kind of initiate an attack, it was like single shots he was throwing. I just didn't think he was working hard enough. But then, like I say, towards the later rounds, I want to say around like round 7 or 8, that is when Paddy Donovan did start to all of a sudden really become the aggressor and start pushing Ritson back for the first time in the fight. And when he started to do that, he started showing off a whole range of punches, great punch repertoire. And it was a really good display for the second half of the fight from Paddy Donovan. So yeah, I'm not gonna stomp on his performance like I've seen some people doing. I don't think that's really fair. But Lewis Ritson's a tough guy as well, we've got to give him credit. Like, he may be done, he may be at the end of his career now, but still, he's never been stopped early on in a fight. He's always kind of gone late. He got stopped late against, oh God, was it Gustavo Lemos, I think, and then obviously got stopped late against O'Hara Davies. And obviously, in this fight here, he gets stopped again late on, but yeah, in the end, he kind of just had nothing left. He was just completely zapped. His energy was gone. So Paddy Donovan was able to force that stoppage, and yeah, it was a good one in the end. So, like I say, I think it's another box ticked for Paddy Donovan. Though some people are saying slow the hype train down. What else did we have, moving up the card once again, Chev Clark now 9-0, a knockout for him in the 8th round against Ellis Zorro, now 17-2. That one was for the vacant British Cruiserweight title. Zorro counted out after being floored by a right cross to the head. Yeah, I felt that Ellis Zorro was right in the fight and was arguably taking over, actually, at the point of the stoppage. You know, I don't think he looked fantastic early on, but in the mid-rounds, he started to come back into the fight for sure. And, you know, he was perhaps frustrating Chev Clark a little bit. But yeah, in that 8th round, he got caught, he got hurt, went down, didn't beat the count, and it's a shame for him, you know, because I felt it was a more than competitive fight before that. And I did say, you know, I didn't quite understand why Chev Clark was such a big favourite. I don't think he should have been as heavy of a favourite as he was. And I was really believing that as the fight was going on, because like I say, Zorro was right in it and had some good moments himself and landed some good shots. But yeah, it's another box tick for Chev Clark. Again, I'm not entirely sure that he's a world beater, but it's a good win, it's a good scalp. Like I say, he made his intentions clear. He said he wants to win the British title outright. I think that's probably a good move. No need to rush him. And yeah, I guess he's still learning, kind of thing. You know, he's still a work in progress. But for Ellis Zorro, it's a tough one for him, because like I've always said on this show, I've said it so many times, they were building him really nicely. They threw him in the lion's den against Dimitri Bivol. Not Dimitri Bivol, Jai Opetaia, got stopped in a round, and then he comes straight back against Chev Clark. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's the first fight back, and he gets banged out again. So now I'm not entirely sure where he goes, but it's a shame, because like I say, they were building him so well, and that building is now at ground zero. And yeah, moving to the main event, Josh Taylor, he's now 19-2. Jack Catterall wins the unanimous decision over 12 rounds. No belts on the line, which is sad for Jack Catterall. I still refer to him as the uncrowned, undefeated, undisputed super lightweight world champion, because he should have beaten Josh Taylor the first time round and got the decision. But yeah, he managed to do it second time round, though it was for no belts. Jack Catterall now 29-1. Yeah, you know, I think that pretty much from the off, Jack Catterall was dominating the fight. You know, he was getting the better of Josh Taylor round by round, and it was quite easy to score late on. But then as the rounds went on, it seemed to be Jack Catterall that was running out of steam, and I was very surprised by that. I thought if anyone's going to run out of steam down the stretch, it's probably going to be Josh Taylor. There's all sorts of rumours about how bad he makes the weight and how he doesn't quite live the life at times, likes a drink. But no, he looked really good, and I do have to say, he looked fantastic on the scales, and he looked quite good in there. Like we kind of were saying, you know, he seemed to not be the fighter he once was, Josh Taylor. He seemed like maybe his days were numbered as a legitimate contender. But we were kind of just writing him off after losing simply to Teofimo Lopez in America on points. That was it. We said that's it. It's the end of the road for him. And it seems very harsh now in hindsight. But yeah, I think he lost the first Catterall fight, and obviously he lost the second one. But he still showed me enough the other night that he's got quite a bit left, I think. Yeah, Josh Taylor did come back in the 7th round. You know, it was a great round there. And the end of the fight, you know, those last few rounds, they were great to watch. I think the 10th round was close. The commentary gave that round to Jack. I actually scored 3 different rounds 10-10, which is so bad. I'm really embarrassed about that. But in the end, I'm going to go through my scorecard, actually, just to make sure that people understand me properly here. But yeah, I have to mention as well, in the 11th round, when Josh Taylor walked straight into an absolute bomb of an overhand from Jack Catterall. Obviously, they both ended up tangling up, and they both ended up on the floor. So it was ruled no knockdown, obviously, but it probably bought Taylor some time to recover, because that punch landed like a dream. And yeah, I think, you know, those seconds they were down on the floor gave him some vital time to recover. So yeah, my scorecard, I just want to fetch it, because obviously there was a couple of scorecards from the official judges on the night that people weren't happy with. this was my scorecard. I gave the first two to Catterall. I gave round 3 a 10-10. I gave 4, 5, and 6 to Catterall as well. So there was argument he won all 6 of the first 6, to be honest with you, but I did give the third round a 10-10. I gave Josh Taylor round 7, round 8, round 9 was a 10-10, round 10 was a 10-10, and then I gave the final 2 rounds to Jack Catterall. So, I mean, that does sound quite bad that in a 12-round fight I've scored 3 rounds 10-10. However, if you would have given all of them to Josh Taylor, Jack Catterall would have still won the fight. So in the end, my scorecard was 118-113, so by 5 points. 2 of the judges, of course, had Jack Catterall by 6 points, and people were going crazy about that. I understand, you know, it was a close fight, like because every round was competitive kind of thing, but if you're actually scoring the fight as 12 3-minute fights, then I think Jack Catterall, you know, won by a bit of a margin. But like I say, great fight. Josh Taylor still has a bit left. I'm over the moon for Jack Catterall to finally right that wrong. Finally, you know, he can go around again now saying that he's beaten everyone he stepped in the ring with, because he's wrote that wrong now, and yeah, he's beaten everyone he stepped in the ring with. He can say that now because he's beat the guy that beat him. Josh Taylor was obviously very unhappy, as was Bob Arum, by the way, but I'm not going to get into that. But Josh Taylor was really unhappy, and he says it's 1 apiece now, let's do the third. I don't want to see Jack Catterall actually fight him a third time, even though it would be a good fight, obviously, because the other fight, you know, the other night, that fight the other night was a great fight to watch, but I don't want to see that third fight. It's too much mileage that Catterall is losing on Josh Taylor, in my opinion. The whole world knows that Catterall won the first fight but didn't get the decision. The whole world knows he won the second fight, and finally he did get the decision. There's no need to do it a third time. In my mind, it's Catterall 2-0, and it's not even close. So, yeah, I don't want to see it again. Catterall spent a long time being sat at WBO number 1 and not getting a title shot. And then when he did finally get the shot for the undisputed titles, he went to Scotland, to Josh Taylor's backyard, got robbed. And then he went away, come back, beat Taylor now. He deserves another crack at a world title. And if he loses, the Taylor fight will still be there. But don't fight Taylor next and give him another 12 rounds, because that's probably what will happen. And you don't want to spend 36 rounds of your career against Josh Taylor when you've won both fights in everyone's eyes, in all honesty. So, yeah, I want to see him fight for a world title next. I'm not entirely sure which governing body he's highest ranked with. I'm gonna assume it's probably the WBO, but I'd have to check. But yeah, world title shot next for him. He's done more than enough. He should already have all 4 of them on his mantelpiece indoors. But yeah, we know what happened that night. Anyway, that's it for the review part of the show. It's been mainly me talking to myself there. I know that you didn't see any of that, Eddie. So yeah, I've ranted and ranted and ranted. That's the end of that. It's now time to welcome this week's special guest. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the undefeated super lightweight knockout artist. It is, of course, Mr. Gary Antuanne Russell. Gary, welcome back on the show, my friend.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, it's a pleasure. Hey, the pleasure's mine every single time. I'm happy that you're back on. So, Gary, we last spoke back in August. It was fight week for your fight against Kent Cruz. You were saying to me, Cruz is hungry. He doesn't know how to lose, but it didn't take him long to learn. A first-round knockout for you. Your eighth first-round knockout, which is crazy. Talk me through that sole round of the fight.
Like I said before, in this profession, in most cases, not the brute strength, but the more intelligent person wins. I think it falls down in the category of you executing the plan. Both parties and participants, they come with a game plan. Not saying that the game plan wouldn't work, but it just goes back to who execute the game plan first, you know, because you do a lot of studying on your opponent and you start to see the kinks in their armor. And it's your job as a fighter to exploit that, you know, take advantage of that. And honestly, that's just what I did. I saw the kinks in his armor, and I took advantage of it. I exploited it. That was actually something that we was working on in camp. The left uppercut to the body, hook, right hook after. Make sure I finish with a left cross. So it was like a 3-punch combination, but I never got the chance to get the other 2 in. So I just executed the game plan. That's all. It was accessible for that shot.
Yeah, for sure. It didn't take you long. Since then, is it fair to say that things had gone a little bit quiet up until the fight announcement here?
Yeah, I guess so. You can say I could have had a lot more publicity and more promoting that was done, but it's all right. The show still goes on, and I gotta make sure that I put myself on the mat with my showmanship.
Well, I tell you what, that answer there leads me perfectly into my next question. Just before your fight announcement the other week, Leonard Ellaby put a tweet out on Twitter, and I'm going to quote him word for word. He said, "Who is the most feared fighter that nobody's raising their hand to fight in the 140 division? I mean nobody that wants that smoke. And privately, all the fighters know he's the least talked about, but he's a bad, bad dude who can fight his backside off. Who is this fighter?" And a lot of people in the comments were saying Antuanne Russell, Antuanne Russell. Are they right?
Oh, hell to the white, yes. Yes, hell yes.
Simple.
But I'm not the flamboyant type of person, and I wouldn't say that I'm very arrogant either, but confident. I am that, and I believe in people giving the justice where the justice is due, the credit where the credit is due.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, let's talk about your upcoming fight. It's finally been announced. All the fans, all the media really delighted with that. June the 15th at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, you'll be stepping in with yet another undefeated fighter, this time in the shape of the 22-0 former WBA world champion Alberto Puello. What do we know about Puello, Gary?
That he's coming to be victorious, and he's rangy. Of course, there's a lot more, but I don't want to give away the game plan. That'll be foolish. The best attack is the one that you don't see coming.
Okay, well, I'll ask you this then, and again, I don't expect you to say too much now because you just said that, but how do you see this fight playing out stylistically?
Stylistically, just as any rangy fighter, I will have to work more, to close the distance and stuff like that, versus having someone that's my height, relatively short, short reach, that's going to see me in the middle of the ring. They're not going to just move around and try to keep me at bay. I think that's something that would be a natural ability for a long, tall fighter to do. Just keep the short fighter at bay. Make sure he don't get inside, close the distance and stuff like that to get anything effective off. But it's always a game plan to any different style of technique. It's just, like I said, it's just a thing of a person executing their game plan the right way. And me personally, I think he's going to be rangy. I think the fight is going to go a little duration before I start poking holes in him. He's going to give a resistance, as should, but we're going to see how long that lasts.
And if you do get the stoppage, it will be 18-0 with all 18 by KO, which is just incredible, man. Do people ever say to you, champ, what round are you going to stop him in so I can put a bet down? Do people ask you that?
They have before.
What kind of position does that put you in?
I've been thinking about betting on myself, to be honest.
Say that again?
I said they have before, and I've been thinking about betting on myself, to be honest. Because I know what I can do.
Yeah.
I know my talent.
No, that's interesting, man. That's interesting. Another thing that's very interesting, the fight takes place on the 15th, which means you'll be making weight on your birthday.
Yes.
Do you have a plan for that specific day yet?
No. It's been plenty of times that we've been in training camp on my birthday. We fought on my birthday, you know. So it's kind of like a thing of we just got to bite the bullet right now, you know. Prioritize. We can handle it after. We can deal with my birthday celebratories after I come out victorious. And that's pretty much that. I was thinking about going to Paris.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's a cool plan. That is a cool plan, man. That's cool. So no cake on the Friday.
No, not at all.
Had to think about that one there. Okay, plenty of cake in Paris, I'm sure. You'll also be boxing. Sorry, go on, Gary. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you didn't cut me up. I was just agreeing to what you said. Yeah, plenty of cake that's going to be in Paris.
You'll also be boxing for the interim WBC world title. Obviously, we know the current full champion is Devin Haney. I know that you would fight absolutely anyone, but surely if you were to pick up an interim title here, the target has to be Haney, above everyone else, surely.
Right. That's what I was shooting for. He still has the title. I don't know how these opponents are going to be moving around dealing with him. Right now, you have what is his name? Sandor. I want to say Sandor Martin.
Oh, Sandor Martin. Yeah.
He's supposed to be fighting Devin Haney for that, allegedly, but I'm not sure. You never know what's going to happen, but whoever right now got the title, that's who's on my hit list. It's no, I got a grudge with this person or I got a vendetta against this person. No, I just got a plan. I got a well thought out plan, an agenda, and right now, Alberto Puello, he's standing in the way of that. And if anybody else that has the title versus it'd be Devin Haney, Teofimo, or what's the guy? Sabril Matias. Doesn't matter. They all on the hit list. I told people I want to be undisputed before I move up or down in weight.
Wow. I tell you what, just hearing you. Sorry, again, I keep cutting you off. Sorry, Gary, go on.
I said I at least want to clean up my division.
Yeah, that would be incredible, man. That would be incredible. I mean, like I say, the guys you've just named there, even hearing you name Sabril Matias gives me goosebumps. I mean, that is just such a fantastic fight. I would love to see that fight. I'm sure everyone else would. I do want to ask you, though, one guy you didn't mention there, I mean, he doesn't have a title, and to be quite honest, his future in the sport at the moment is up for debate, what's going to happen. But what did you make of Ryan Garcia's win against Devin Haney, if you saw some of that?
Ooh, I actually called that fight. And then I kind of came back behind the statement that I made out of pity. I really wanted Devin Haney to win. It's like home team, you got to go with the home team even though they're trash. I'm not calling Devin Haney trash or nothing like that, but it's just like home court advantage. You got to go with the home court, So it's like that was one of the things that made me double back and say, look, Devin Haney, he got the ability to win, but he got to pull it off. His coach can tell him what to do. His cornerman can give him some type of level of enthusiasm to pump him up. But at the end of the day, Devin Haney got to go in there and pull all of this stuff off. He got to do that. But I saw the mentality in Ryan Garcia, and I said, yeah, Ryan Garcia coming to hurt. I see the details in both of their styles of fighting. Ryan Garcia, he's been a sneaky puncher. He's not no person who's like willing to hit you and run. If he hits you and runs because he missed his hard shot that he was trying to knock you out with. And now he's trying to gauge his distance again so he can try it again. Versus Devin Haney, he's going to take you in deep water, take you the whole 12 rounds. He's going to put rounds in the bank because he's not looking for a knockout. styles make fights. And I said this to the reporter. I said, look, Ryan Garcia, honestly, he's coming in here to knock his boy out. And he got the ability to do it. He got the speed, he got the pop, and he got the aggression. He got the level of tenacity that he needs. And right now, he got the perfect style for Devin Haney to do exactly what he want to do. He can pull it off. And he came in 3 pounds overweight on purpose.
Well, it's interesting to hear you say all of that, you know. There was obviously a lot of people that felt that Garcia was kind of tailor-made for Haney, and that, you know, a lot of us were proved wrong. But it's interesting to hear, you know, someone of your level say that. And obviously, yeah, you were right. It was a nightmare for Devin to deal with. I don't want to run over with the time that we have, so it's just 1 to 2 more questions for you that I'm going to keep nice and short. It's over 2 years now since we saw your older brother Gary Russell Jr. in the ring. I know that obviously he's involved with the training and all the rest of it. Does he himself have plans to fight again anytime soon?
I mean, right now his focus is on us. You know, I got another brother, Gary Antuanne Russell, that's been in the gym. He's trying to make sure that things is working right. You know, all cylinders are firing and clicking and ticking how they supposed to. You know, but ultimately the main focus is me right now, and he's not done. It's not like he's washed up or anything or damaged goods. You know, his shoulder's back good, his hand is back good. Right now, I just think he's doing a responsible thing as the oldest brother to direct his attention on me because I got something coming up. Yeah. You know, but he's not legally bound or obligated to any other promotion company or anything like that. So I'm not sure what he's going to do in the future. But as of now, he's trying to make sure that I'm all the way right for this fight. We take things one step at a time, and we're going to keep our stuff systematically clicking. Like we not going to rush or do anything outside of the normal that's going to put us in a position where as though we got too much in our hands that we got to deal with at this point. It was a story told to me about these 2 bulls by my father. It was like young bull, old bull, top of the hill. As they walk and they look down on the bottom of the hill and see a lot of cows. The young bulls say, "Oh, let's run down there and fuck one of those bulls." The old bulls say, "Nah, let's walk down there and fuck them all." In other words, take your time. Do things one step at a time. You know, take your time. You ain't got to rush with everything. So we definitely not going to corral ourselves in the corner because we're rushing.
Wow, that's a great story. I've got a lot of questions in my own mind now because my star sign is a Taurus, the bull, so I don't know whether I'm going to run down the hill or walk down it, Gary, so that's given me something to think about all weekend. Just before we wrap things up, please, if you just want to sign out with a closing message to the listeners. You're such a philosophical young man. It's always great hearing some advice just before we wrap things up, my friend. The floor is yours.
The sky's the limit, and don't ever stop believing in yourself. If you believe that you can do it with enough hard work, enough dedication, determination, it can come to life.
There we go. Perfect words. It's fantastic to hear you say that, Gary. Listen, as always, it is my pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much for your time. Best of luck for June 15th, and we'll speak sometime afterwards, my friend.
Appreciate it so much, mate. Ciao.
Okay, now it's time for part 2 on this week's show. This part, of course, the news part of the show. Just one piece of news from me. Then I'll come to you, Eddie. But the one piece of news I kind of hinted at earlier on in the show. Christian Mbili, he just boxed on the weekend, and already they've announced his next fight. He'll be stepping in the ring with Sergei Derevianchenko. August the 17th at the Videotron Center in Quebec, Canada. It's crazy to see a guy just box on the weekend, and already, I think they announced this on the Tuesday, so he boxed on the Saturday night, and by Tuesday they already had his next fight penciled in. Unbelievable. And it's a good fight. Christian Mbili, obviously Sergei Derevianchenko is, wow, For the small amount of fights he's had as a pro, he arguably has the best resume, of any person with the same amount of fights as him. So should be a good fight there. Like I say, the date is August the 17th. And Eddie, I'm going to come to you because, as you said earlier on, you have a piece of news to share. I guess don't give too much away. If you can't, just tell us what you can.
Yeah, well, I have a little bit of news. I'm going to actually be fighting in September. It's kind of already, kind of being talked about, not only talked about, but set up. I don't want to say too much because you know how these things tend to fall apart when you start talking too much. So let's just say it's, I think it's at heavyweight, if I'm not mistaken. But it's against a, decent heavyweight, especially considering I haven't been in the ring much. To be fighting somebody at that level is not necessarily, it's not a bad look. You know what I mean? It's like, if I can win that fight, it's like, okay, well, he's still around. He's still kind of in the game a little bit. So, yeah, I'm getting back in there. I'm getting older, but I'm not done. So, we're going to see where this fight takes us. Hopefully, it's just the start of something that is not, do not get it confused. It's not going to be a long run. Believe me, I'm not thinking about doing another 10 years like some other guys do. I'm not Bernard. I'm not George Foreman. I'm not none of these guys who, are planning on, if I win a title, if that happens to pop up, believe me, I'm not going to turn it down. But what I'm saying is, I'm not planning on making no extended run. You understand what I'm saying? If, the things don't balance out the way they should, and, a couple of fights don't take place, or guys don't step up, or whatever the situation may be, I'm going to bow out, believe me, respectfully. I made it this long without having any issues, and I don't want to have any, that I'm, that now I'm at it, going at it a little later. So, yeah, sometimes you need to, cut your losses when you're ahead, and if these things don't come about the way they should, I'm walking away. But right now, things are looking up, so I'm gonna take this and try to do my best to get myself in a position to, be able to put something away, things that I should have been probably concentrating on a little earlier, but, better late than never. And, so we're going to do that, see how it goes. And, we'll talk about it a little later, but as it stands, this is where we are.
There we go. Exciting stuff. Thanks for the update, Eddie. And talking about exciting stuff, we're going to dive straight into the one card. There's only one card to mention for the preview part, Eddie. So doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be over in a flash, but it's a big card on Saturday night at the Kingdom Arena in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, live on DAZN pay-per-view, live on, I think, ESPN. I'm guessing it's ESPN Plus or something, but where should we start on this card? I'm gonna start with, I know you've got a bit of interest in a few of these guys here, but I'm gonna start with Willie Hutchinson from the UK, friend of the show. He was on the show about 4 weeks ago, something like that. He's 17-1. He steps in the ring. He's obviously part of Queensbury, Frank Warren. He steps in the ring with Craig Richards, 18-3 with a draw, part of Matchroom with Eddie Hearn. Very good fight. Obviously, both guys are friends of the show, but Craig Richards is he's my guy. So I've got a I hate to say that, but I've got to ride with Richards. I mean, Richards is, that's my man. So really good fight, really interesting fight. Willie Hutchinson came on this podcast full of confidence, said that it's not even going to go 3 rounds, I think he said, or it might have even been 2 rounds. And he decided to, go out to Nigeria for training camp, which was kind of bizarre in itself. But listen, it may pay off. I mean, it's different surroundings. I think he seems to be in a good place mentally, very confident, and he's got some great boxing ability. The only thing that worries me about Willie Hutchinson, obviously, is that one bad performance against Lennox Clark. Craig Richards is a better fighter than Lennox Clark. I know triangle theories don't work, and we say it almost every week, myself and you, Eddie, but good fight. But yeah, I'd lean towards Craig Richards, and that's not just because I'm close with him at all. I think he'll win the fight. I would not rule out a stoppage either, to be totally honest with you, somewhere around possibly like the middle rounds or something. Craig Richards has been quite inactive, but he looked quite good last time out against Boris Crichton, and people have struggled with him domestically. Willie Hutchinson as well is on a little bit of a run now himself, but yeah, Craig Richards for me, possibly points, but I would lean more towards a stoppage. Good fight though, should be really interesting. Also on the card as well, we're going to see over 12 rounds for the IBO and WBA Super World Light Heavyweight titles. Dmitry Bivol, it's a shame that obviously we're not seeing him step in the ring with Beterbiev here, but he still decided to have the fight on this date. He's currently 22-0. People that have been listening to this podcast for years will know that Bivol's a friend of the show. We had him on before. When he could barely speak any English, and he's 22-0. He steps in with the relatively unknown but undefeated Malik Zinad, who's 22-0 as well. Both guys 22-0. This guy's from Libya, living in Malta, which is a strange one. He's a 6'1" light heavyweight, 16 KOs to his name. Looking down the record, he's been in there. He actually went 10 rounds with Ezekiel Moderna, who we saw lose to Willie Hutchinson in 4 rounds. So that might speak for itself. But yeah, other than that, this guy, Zinad, I think it's just a case of whether he's going to get stopped or he's going to manage to hear the final bell, which a few people lately have been managing with Dmitry Bivol. You've got to go right back to 2018, where he stopped Sullivan Barrera in the 12th and final round. That's the last time he got a knockout. It's kind of weird because that Sullivan Barrera knockout win was the 5th of a 5-fight knockout streak. Since then, Dmitry Bivol has now gone the distance 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times in a row against, Isaac Chilemba, who we mentioned earlier, Jean Pascal, Joe Smith Jr., Gilbert Castillo, Craig Richards, who we mentioned a minute ago, Umar Salamov, who is mysteriously missing. He's a missing person who hasn't been seen since last year, in a very serious matter actually, in Russia. I don't know what's happened with Umar Salamov. If you look into that, it's quite dark what you'll find on YouTube. Canelo as well in the distance with him, and obviously Gilberto Ramirez, and most recently Lyndon Arthur. You can get pretty much evens odds for Bivol to go the distance. I think that has to be taken at this point when he's in such a mode of just going the distance with no real urgency. So yeah, he's probably going to win on points. What else do we have? I tell you what, we're going to do it in a jumbled up order, but I'm going to come to you for this one, Eddie. It's the main event. Deontay Wilder, 43-3 with a draw, over 12 rounds here. I do not think we're going to hear that final bell. He steps in with Zhilei Zhang, 26-2 with a draw. The Chinese heavyweight who resides in New Jersey, the 6'6" southpaw. 41 years of age now, Big Bang Zhang, obviously last time out losing to Joseph Parker, just like Deontay Wilder. Both guys coming off losses to Joseph Parker on points. Joseph Parker, I'm sure, will be tuned in with his feet up, watching two guys face off against each other when he's beaten both of them. I'm going to come to you first. Go on, Eddie.
Oh, man. Honestly, there couldn't be a heavyweight fight. Now, I'm not gonna say, because Zhang is a skilled fighter too. He's not just all bang. He does have some skill too. But if you're talking about seeing a fight that is not going to go the distance, that for as long as it lasts is going to be exciting. The two guys now. Wilder has one of the biggest hearts in boxing, and maybe ever in boxing. Like he'll fight to the death, and I give that to him. But obviously his skill level is, there's still some things to be desired there. Things he did. Now he does have an IQ. He does have other things, but what's really appetizing about this fight is that both guys are definitely looking for the knockout. Every punch they throw is meant to get you out of there. Who would I favor in a situation like this? To me, it all depends on which Wilder goes in. You know what I mean? I think the Wilder that fought Joseph Parker. Now, I'm not taking anything away from Joseph Parker. I think he's a fantastic boxer in the way that he was going to win. He was going to win regardless. I think, his style, his ability to box, his skill level is a way of avoiding shots, and his punch selection in the fight, I think was almost perfect at times. And Wilder just couldn't time him. And I think Wilder was wasting rounds thinking that he was going to be able to eventually catch him. And it just eventually became an insurmountable lead that he just couldn't overcome. And there were times that Wilder was able to reach him, but even though he was able to reach him and land the shots, I don't think he was in good position to land them. So he wasn't able to get the full brunt of what we're expecting to see. And most people would pick Wilder to stop him, but I don't know. In this situation with Zhang, there's just so much of a price to pay. Zhang, I didn't think Zhang would do what he did with Joe Joyce. And, it's like, you bet against this guy. Now, obviously, Joe Parker beat him, but, it's just, I'm leaning toward Wilder. And I know it's like people going to be like, what? Like, what? How could you at this point? I still believe in that right hand. I didn't at first. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't. I looked at his skill level, and, man, he knocked a couple people out, and I'm like, man, he still, he ain't, nah. But now, after I done seen what he did, he ain't gotten there with Tyson those times and landed that shit, even at times when you just didn't expect him to be able to, and he still did it. And it's like, it's hard for me to go against that right hand if you're not named Tyson Fury at this point and can get up from a shot like that. And I just look at Zhang and I say, once he gets to a certain point in the fight, Zhang starts to blow, starts to get a little tired. And as good as he is and as good a person as he is, I really like him. I met him. He's a great person, a great fighter. I really want to see him win, do well. But his tank starts to run low as the going toward those championship rounds, even a little earlier than that at times, depending on how much pressure he's putting on you. And getting tired and standing in front of Wilder just does not mix. It just does not mix. And if Wilder's still around and doesn't get wiped off the face of the earth from one of those big shots that Zhang throws, and he's going into the second half of the fight, and I just don't like him being, a sitting duck for one of those big right hands. And I do think Wilder's toughness, and now obviously it doesn't matter. You get caught with a shot you don't see coming. I don't care how tough you are, you're going to sleep. So that doesn't take away the fact that Zhang still, land that big bang power that he has. But I think he will probably get to the second half of the fight, or if it goes that long. And if that is the case, I think Zhang at that time is going to start to blow. And if he's, like I said, if he's standing in front of him and he lands that right hand, and we know by watching in the past, Wilder fight another southpaw by the name of King Kong Ortiz. He not so much that he got tired. He was just, I guess, taking too many chances, and he stood in front of that right hand and got caught. And honestly, I see that same thing kind of happening in this fight. For Zhang's case, I hope not. But like I said, if he starts to blow and he gets tired and he's standing there in front of you looking for one shot, he's going to find the one shot, but it ain't going to be one from him. And I think that's what's going to end up being what happens in the fight.
Yeah, such an intriguing fight, man. Yeah, really excited. Cannot wait for Saturday. Deontay Wilder, I saw him earlier this week doing, I don't know if it was like a media workout or whatever, and I have to say, he was moving very, very, very smooth on his feet. I don't know if that's the right tactics for Zhang, in all honesty, but he definitely was moving way smoother than I've ever seen him move before. Now, I know that, he didn't actually have Zhang across the ring from him, and maybe if he did, he wouldn't be quite moving like that, but he looked really good on his feet, looked very much like Malik Scott definitely taught him that move. But yeah, really good fight. I just cannot get over the fact that Deontay Wilder is an underdog here, and for Deontay Wilder to win the fight by knockout, you can almost triple your money. It's 7-4. I mean, that is just crazy to me. And obviously, for the fight not to go the distance is only 1-4, but I think that is surely free money. I just can't see this fight going the distance, man. I just can't see it. I really can't see it. It's a 12-round fight. And another thing that I think needs to be mentioned is for Deontay Wilder to win the fight within the first 3 rounds. I know that you might think, oh, that's completely impossible, but considering how many times he's won a fight within the first 3 rounds, he should never be a 9-1 underdog. So you can 10 times your money if you back that. That price is too crazy to not put something small on it, I think. But yeah, if I had to lean with someone, I think I'm gonna go Wilder, but with not much confidence. My pick would be the fight not to go the distance. I just can't see it happening. I think that's the easy way out. But yeah, really intrigued. Wilder also looked extremely, extremely slim. Again, I don't know if that's the right thing to do. I've got no idea, because Zhang has definitely looked quite average against smaller guys, but Wilder is still 6'7" in frame. He's still the taller guy. So I don't know if coming in really light like he appears to be from what I could see, even though he was wearing dark clothing. I don't know if that was a little bit deceptive, but he looked really, 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 really slim, and I just don't know if that's a good idea or not. I suppose we're going to wait and see. What else do we have? Another fight, Eddie, that I just completely cannot see going the distance. Daniel Dubois, 20-2, coming off one of his best career wins actually last time out, stopping Jarrell Big Baby Miller in the final round of their fight. He steps in with Filip Hrgović, who's coming off the 1-round destruction of poor Mark Demori. Again, Eddie, I'm not entirely sure what way it's going to go, but I cannot see this one going 12 rounds either. No way.
No, man, I can agree with that too. But this one is definitely going to be a lot more highly contested than, my man Mark. Unfortunately, stopped in the first round, and I really like Mark. He's a good guy, but I just didn't see the whole Filip Hrgović situation going well for him, and I was right. But anyway, this one, man, it's probably even almost even more so. I think this is not going to go the distance. I think Filip Hrgović is an extremely busy guy, throws a lot of punches, and he puts bad intentions with them too. Typically has a good gas tank, which can be is a good thing with when you're fighting a guy like Dubois who's a big puncher. I don't necessarily know him to blow or get tired necessarily, but I think the pace of the fight, if it favors Hrgović, will make him he'll struggle, I think, to keep up with that. You know what I mean? And a guy like Daniel Dubois, who's a puncher, who has one-punch knockout power, doesn't tend to want to throw 1,000 punches per round. You understand what I'm saying? I think he's more the kind of guy who wants to pick his shots and take his time and, walk you down, kind of keep the fight to his pace. And if he's able to do that, I would favor him. But I don't think Hrgović is going to agree with that. I think he's going to probably move a little bit or a lot. I think he's going to try to be as busy as he possibly can. And I think once the fight starts moving to the middle rounds, if it gets that far, he's going to start to pick the pace up even a little further, maybe even step 2 or more, depending on the reaction he gets from Dubois. As much as I like Daniel Dubois, and you know, he has a ton of power and strength, and he's just a different kind of animal when it comes to that. I think that if Hrgović gets him to fight I think it could be Hrgovic's fight to lose, because I think he can put the fight in a position where he has to fight at his pace. He has to do what he wants because of, like I said, the pace. If he gets out there and he's throwing 2s and 3s as far as jabs, keeping range a little bit, I also think Daniel Dubois is a tiny bit slower, maybe even more than a tiny bit. And I think that's also going to it's going to force him to be a little more patient. And if Dubois has to be patient, then he's also dealing with a guy who's not out there tickling you when he punches either. He's trying to hurt you and punches pretty good too. So, you know, I really just think this fight is more about pace. And if Hrgović can get him to fight he comes out the winner. And I think that's probably where it's going to go. I'm not 100% sure, but I do think that the guy who's busier and pushes the pace has a little more speed. I think he's going to, I think that's the way the fight's going to go. I think it has to in that sense. But hey, I've been wrong before, and I wouldn't be surprised to be wrong in this scenario too.
Yeah, Hrgović is the favourite. They're expecting him to stop Daniel Dubois. Dubois is a 2-1 underdog to win by any method, and he's also 7-2, so 3.5-1 for the KO, which is another massive price. A bit hard to scroll past. Yeah, someone's going to sleep there for sure. I know that the pair have got a bit of history. Filip Hrgović seems to be full of confidence about their previous encounters. I think might have done a bit of sparring or something. Okay, so that is that one there. Moving up once again, I'm going to be very short and sweet on this one here. Hamza Shiraz 19-0, stepping in with Austin Williams 16-0. You know, again, Hamza Shiraz is the favourite. He's on a crazy run. He's got the streak now for the most knockouts in a row right now that's still going of any British fighter. I think he's got like 11 in a row, something like that. Obviously, Sam Noakes was tied on the same amount of KOs, and he went the distance with Yvonne Mendy. So now Hamza Shiraz is out in the lead with that brilliant little record to have. And he has been looking $1 million. He seems to be looking better and better. Obviously, training with Ricky Funes out there in Van Nuys, California. But yeah, he looks very good. And Austin Williams is the underdog. But I wouldn't sleep on Austin Ammo Williams at all. He's arguably got a better resume. And I think he's boxed more kind of like a different, like a kind of wider variety of styles, if that makes any sense. I wouldn't write him off at all. That's a fight that personally I would probably stay away from. I honestly am not too sure how that's going to go. If I was pushed, absolutely pushed, I'd probably side with Shiraz, even though I think early on in his career there was a few things missing, but I think he is beginning to kind of look the real deal now. You know, he's massive for the weight. He looks absolutely huge, and he really can punch as well. And I think his ring IQ is getting better and better all the time. Probably that's probably come from all the sparring I'm sure he does out there with a mixture of different guys up in California. And yeah, finally, Eddie, and I will be coming to you for this as well. Raymond Ford, 15-0 with a draw. The only world title on the line for the 5 vs 5 Matchroom Queensbury. He puts his WBA featherweight world title on the line. He is a friend of the show. He steps in with the UK's Nick Ball. I'm not entirely sure you've seen anything of Nick Ball, but he's 19-0 with a draw. Have you seen anything?
Oh, I have. Remember he fought Isaac Love.
Isaac, yeah.
Oh, I know about
and
it.
Isaac Dogbay. I thought you were going to say Dogbay, but go on.
No, I actually seen him a couple of times. He's dangerous, man. That kid.
Wrecking ball.
Yeah, he's really short, but he's menacing, man. He comes in, he's looking for the knockout. He's a dangerous guy to fight because being at those weights, You know, I'm not going to say everybody's short, but you know what I mean? Everybody's kind of low to the ground. So it's, lower to the ground, but not that low. Like he's even short for that weight. So it's a different method. And then he's really, really explosive. You know what I mean? Really strong and really like, he just got like the bad intentions. He's almost like what's my guy's name? Almost like Isaac Cruz, like just coming in the, maybe not necessarily the same style, but what I'm saying is just that menacing, like low to the ground, like a oak, you know what I mean? Hard, like a tree stump that you just can't move. And it's almost like, you just got to keep range and just box him. And hopefully you can do that. But he's a dangerous dude. Like when I heard he was fighting him, I was like, this fight is under the radar. This is an under the radar kind of dangerous ass fight to have. You know what I mean? Because there's not a lot out there on him for you to, you can find things, obviously, he's a legit challenge, but it's just not enough. And then you look at, he didn't really fight the same level of competition or whatever. And then it's like, bruh, be ready. That kind of thing. You got to be ready. You got to be on his A game to win this fight. I think Ray Ford is, one of the best ones there and in those weights. Up and coming, high level dude, no question. But he's got to be on point to win this fight. It can't be no bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, this guy is dangerous, seriously dangerous.
Another really intriguing fight, man, and you pretty much highlighted every fact about Nick Ball, in all honesty. He is relentless, he is a big puncher, he's only 5'2", but I tell you what, he's super strong, and I was so shocked at how he was ragdolling Isaac Dogboe, because Isaac Dogboe's ripped to shreds, and he's bigger than Nick Ball, and Nick Ball was throwing him around like he was a paper bag, it was like, wow, like the strength of this guy is off the chain, and he doesn't slow down at all. He does not slow down. Like, I was waiting for him to tire against Isaac Dogboe, because Isaac Dogboe is another friend. I wanted to see him beat Nick Ball, in all honesty, but he did not stop. He did not stop at all. And obviously, last time against Ray Vargas, he dropped Vargas twice. He should have won the fight. Ended up being a controversial draw. This is a tough fight for Raymond Ford. I mean, Raymond Ford, I think, is a very good fighter, but this is a style that he wouldn't have had, certainly under the bright lights. Like, this is the real deal. Like, this is a real pressure fighter that will not stop. He needs to keep the distance and keep Nick Ball behind the jab, which Vargas did to some effect in parts of their fight. But if that lead hand, if you start to get tired and that lead hand starts to come down, you're in trouble.
Look. This is. Now, if he goes out and does the business and takes care of things the way most think, because I'm pretty sure that he's a favorite, maybe a heavy favorite in it, but it's just this is why fights aren't fought on paper. Can't fight fights on paper. Fights are fought by guys, and records aren't fought. You don't fight. Records don't fight. Previous encounters with other fighters don't fight. None of this shit matters until you step in with that particular guy. And this is the type of thing that happens often. This is where upsets happen. And it's like certain people know already. Like, I thought when he fought Isaac Lowe, that's my man, the whole Fury camp, cousin of Fury, of Tyson and all. So I'm looking and I'm like, yeah, I don't know this guy. He's short. Yeah. Isaac should be able to do this and that. Isaac's strong. Man, this dude went through him. And I'm like, how? And then I'm like, damn, okay. He's on my radar now. Now when I hear about this guy, I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, this ain't gonna be no easy fight for anyone. Could you imagine, like, somebody taking this dude lightly, stepping in? Nah. I'll trade 3-4 times as hard. I want to keep him right at the end of my shit and make sure he stays there. And if he tries to break range, clinch, I'm looking to make this fight. not a sleeper necessarily, but you got to have all your T's crossed, your I's dotted with this kind of dude. You cannot play around, take any unnecessary chances, and think that you can come off the gas for just 1 second. You've got to be on 10 at the whole fight. And that's why this is the kind of dangerous, low-key fight that most people don't think about, but you need to. And I hope Ray is really, in his mind, is extremely focused, because this guy is not a game. You got to be seriously and be ready for this guy. Seriously be ready for this guy.
Yeah, and again, I don't want to spend too long on this fight. This is literally the last fight that we're previewing here. But there were times in that fight where Otabek Kolmatov was outworking Ray Ford. I mean, Ray put himself in a position where he needed a knockout in that final round, and, you know, a miracle happened and he got it. But yeah, he kind of lost interest a bit for probably 5 rounds in that fight and let Kolmatov nick these rounds on work rate. He cannot afford to do that against Nick Bull. Nick Bull is not going to slow down and give you an opportunity in the 12th round to stop him. I will say that these fights on this card are so evenly matched that the odds are so close. Like, if you're able to pick all 5 winners correctly here in an accumulator, you are gonna make some bank, because they are so close, these odds. The biggest underdog is Daniel Dubois at 2-1, and that speaks volumes. You know, like, usually we're used to seeing people like, for example, Dimitri Bivol isn't part of the 5 vs 5, but he's 1-25. His opponent is 12-1. That is kind of more normal to see, you know, in terms of boxing most of the time. Like, maybe not quite as big as that, but, like, you know, they're not as close in odds. But to just see a 2-1 being the biggest underdog out of these 5 fights, that's crazy. Just to recap, Craig Richards is a slight favourite against Willie Hutchinson. Hamza Shiraz is a slight favourite against Austin Williams. Raymond Ford is a slight favourite against Nick Bull. Hrgovic is a slight favourite against Dubois. And Zhang is a slight favourite against Wilder. I know, Eddie, that you haven't seen enough of you haven't seen enough of Craig Richards and Willie Hutchinson. And obviously I know all 5 of these matchups quite well, so I'm just going to quickly run over this and just give who I think is going to win this Matchroom versus Queensberry tournament. So Craig Richards I would pick against Willie Hutchinson, so that's 1 point to Matchroom. Hamza Shiraz against Austin Williams I would lean, not with much confidence, but to Hamza Shiraz, so that would be 1-1. Raymond Ford, Nick Bull, I'd lean to Raymond Ford, but again with not much confidence at all. If I was pushed, I'd go to Ford, so that'd be 2-1 Matchroom. Daniel Dubois and Hrgovic, I'd probably go Hrgovic, but again, not with much confidence. That's 3-1 to Matchroom, and well, it's best, you know, first to 3, I guess, anyway. So it wouldn't matter about the main event, but for argument's sake, Deontay Wilder against Zhilei Zhang, I would actually, again, not with much confidence, go for Wilder. So I would have it 4-1 to Matchroom, and I'm pretty sure it's not going to end like that. So yeah, do not miss it. It's pay-per-view, but it is worth the money for this quality of fights. And, you know, you don't want to miss any of the fights, because, like I say, it's those 5 big ones and Bivol as well. So there's not a fight you're going to miss. There is pretty much no undercard. Every fight itself is like main event quality, probably aside from Bivol, and it's not really his fault that Beterbiev pulled out. So anyway, that brings the preview part to a close. There was only 1 card to preview, but we took ages doing it. In part 1, we did the review part. Then we welcomed our special guest. We did the news, which was quite unexpected. Eddie had something for us this week. And of course, we just wrapped up the preview part there. The final thing for me to do is to come in with the outro, which I'll do in just a few seconds. Okay, and this wraps up episode 450 of the BoxHard Podcast. I've been your host, Joey Coastman. Eddie Chambers has been with me for the duration of the show. A massive shout out to this week's special guest, the undefeated knockout king at super lightweight, that man being Mr. Gary Antuanne Russell. The biggest thanks of all, though, goes out to you, the listeners. Thanks once again for tuning in. That is about everything, though, from myself. Enjoy your weekends, people. Stay safe, and we shall see you all again same time next week.